Welcome into the Fade. I'm Clay Travis. She is Kelly Stewart. This will be, because I just finished OutKick the show, this will be the last show that I do of the 2024 year. It's been an amazing 2024, but it's been a disaster for me on gambling. I have lost and I have lost and I have lost. But at least Trump won, and it's been a good year for OutKick overall. Kelly, you had some wins. You want to just dive right into the college? I know the college football playoff is a while away, but we're not going to be back with you guys until January 2nd. So all of these games that are now sitting at, what is that, like 9 days out, I think. So these are obviously subject to move. Let me just tell you, Kelly, I'm not screwing around. I got massacred going with underdogs by and large. The only one that I won was when I took Notre Dame to blow out Indiana, which I was right about, even though the final score ended up somewhat close. But I had Tennessee, I had SMU, and I had Clemson. All of them failed. So let me just hit you with this, Kelly. I'm going straight favorites. Penn State is going to cover against Boise State. Texas going to cover against Arizona State. Ohio State, and this number is actually interesting, out to a 2.5-point favorite right now. They played an amazing game, obviously, in destroying my Tennessee Volunteers. And then Georgia, now with a new quarterback, small favorite against Notre Dame. Now, some of these I also like the under, like I like the Georgia Notre Dame under a ton. I like the Penn State Boise State under quite a lot as well. But that's my general take. What do you think as we look at the quarterfinals on New Year's Day? I guess there's one game on December 31st at night. But what do you see when you look at these games, Kelly? Anything that you love?
You know, I don't want to use a small sample size of 4 games, but Clay, I think the home field advantage in college football is going to be something we need to look forward to for a considerable amount of time. I laid 2 favorites. I had Notre Dame and Ohio State. I ended up late on Penn State with a buddy of mine. He talked me into it. I didn't love the line move down to 7.5. And I thought I was kind of with you, like, okay, but that's exactly what Penn State does. They beat up on these teams that they're supposed to beat up on. They've done it all season long. Then when they have to step up in class versus the big boys, what happens? Oh yeah, James Franklin just pisses down his leg every single time against a top 10 opponent. If you look at run defense here, Clay, wow, Penn State, number 4 team in the country. So I understand that a lot of people think Boise State's going to be able to get the ground game going with Gentry. I don't know if that's actually going to be the case here. So I'm leaning towards Penn State with you first in that early one, all the way up to 11 so far. So if you like Penn State, you're getting late to the party here. I think that Penn State should absolutely be able to handle business there on New Year's Eve. As far as Arizona State goes, I've watched this team several times this year, Clay. And hey, Dillingham, congrats to him. First year, absolute utter long shot to win the Big 12. They faltered early, and then they just crushed down the stretch, right? They covered 6 straight, or won 6 straight and covered. And they've won 4 times as an underdog outright this year, including once at my Kansas State Wildcats. As you know, neutral site game here. I do think we will see still a little bit less defense from Texas. That was the big thing we talked about last week, you and I, Texas's defense. And boy, was Dabo Swinney able to exploit it, because that's exactly what I said. Texas lets people hang around. I think they let Arizona State hang around. I'm not sure that Arizona State can spring the outright upset, but I'm going to continue to look at that one throughout the week. You mentioned Ohio State. I loved Ohio State come kickoff there, and I apologize for the throttling that they gave to your team. I think a lot of people are going to look at this.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you. I trust me, if I would have been a Vols fan, I would have been very upset with that one. But here's Ohio State, who probably should have won in Eugene. Now neutral site, Rose Bowl. Both teams been there a few times before. Will Howard, like I've said, all season long, you get good Will or you get bad Will. Right now, you've got Will on a mission, and he's got guys within that offense that can help him thrive. And that is exactly what I think we're going to see them do. Do I wish I laid 1 early in the week? Yeah, I sure do. At 2.5 now, as long as it's under 3. I think you could lay 130 if you could find that cheap of a money line still on the odds screen. But I do think Ohio State right now is still playing with an absolute and utter force. I like them here in this spot. And last but not least, I already tweeted about it. Notre Dame opened as a 1-point favorite in Vegas. Pick'em won in some other spots. Georgia. What did Georgia do this year? Well, they kind of just were good, just not good enough. They were good enough. They're late with a backup quarterback that's probably better than Carson Beck. But that defense gave up a ton amount of rushing yards this year compared to what we've seen in previous years, right? Like when you don't have the COVID seniors, when you don't have the fifth-year seniors, Kirby Smith, after last season getting snubbed from the playoff, I thought was going to come back and really be able to do this. But man, I don't see it. I think the better defense here is the Irish. We'll see what Riley Leonard's got cooked up from the offensive side of things, but I like Notre Dame. I'm going to sit back and wait to bet this one because it's going to be all Georgia money.
On the Ohio State front, first of all, do you now think, hey, Clay, your decision to not go and sit in the frigid cold was the right one? Because I'll tell you, when Tennessee was down 21-0, I've never been more thankful that I was at least in warm temperature. I thought Ohio State was going to win. I didn't think Tennessee would get obliterated like that, but that was the only solace I took from the beatdown, was at least I didn't have to be there freezing my ass off watching in person.
Absolutely. Listen, I am a fair weather fan. I will go out there in the frigid weather if you're going to play a good football game and make it worth my time. Think about those poor SMU fans. They got stuck and couldn't fly their private jets. Poor them. They had to take a bus. They didn't even get there. It was over before they even got there. Those are the types of games, I had a lot of people ask, Kelly, you're going to go to the Guaranteed Rate Bowl in Phoenix? And I'm like, I am not going to Phoenix to watch an 8-4 team who should beat the crap out of Rutgers, come up short, make mistakes, and just overall anger me. So no, I'm going to sit at home on my couch and enjoy a day off of work.
All right, let's go into the anything else college football. I know it's still like 9 days away or whatever the count is. It's still a bunch of days away. Anything else college football you think people should know before December 31st gets here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned the matchup there with K-State. K-State, some of the offshores open 9.5, all the way down to 6.5, because DJ Giddens isn't going to be playing. Trey Spivey's not going to be playing. But by all means, K-State needs an offensive tackle in the portal. I do think K-State should still win that game. 4 games, that I played that I think you should play as well. Whenever you start looking at 6-6 favorites, right? 6 wins, 6 losses on the season, but they're listed as a favorite in a bowl game. They went over 68% of the time. Right now, that is Oklahoma. That is Arkansas. That is North Carolina. That is Nebraska, and that is NC State. So I already played those early in the week. The first one did lose. It was Cal, and Cal ended up being an underdog. So keep an eye on those. If it does switch to being an underdog, I do apologize because of late opt-outs. It's unfortunately the name of the game right now. I also took 3.5 betting against Mario Cristobal in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. But of course I did. I took 4 with BYU over Colorado. I know they keep saying Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter are going to play, but why on earth should those guys be playing in the freaking Alamo Bowl? That is beyond me. I think that is a very bad idea. And I did take Baylor earlier in the week. Right now, -1.5 over LSU. We're going to see a lot more opt-outs there out of Baton Rouge. And I think this Baylor team has gotten to the point where they know Dave Aranda is going to keep his job. Brian Kelly, on the other hand, in the absolute hot seat. But I like Baylor to go ahead and get the win there in the Texas Bowl.
Okay, let's go to the NFL. I don't even worry anymore about betting college football games other than the playoff, because I think you're just trying, to your point, it's really just a question of who cares. And maybe more importantly, at least when back in the day, you could try to analyze who cared. You don't know who's going to play. And so even trying to figure out any of these matchups, at least so far in the playoff, we don't have guys who are stars that are opting out. Although, can you imagine if that starts to happen down the line? That would be pretty intriguing. Christmas Day games. Maybe the biggest part of this is the question, can Netflix manage to actually have the audience watch that wants to watch these games? Kelly, I'm on the Steelers plus the points against the Chiefs. I keep thinking the Chiefs are due for a loss. I keep being wrong. I'm going to keep riding the train. I do like the Steelers, and then I'm taking the Ravens against the Texans on the double Christmas Day game, Santa Clay coming to town. Do you have a favorite one way or the other?
Yeah, my good friend John Murray texted me on Saturday right before the Chiefs game and goes, "Can you believe for the first time in 3 years we're going to actually need the Chiefs?" I said, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, we actually need the Chiefs. The house needs the Chiefs." And now the Chiefs have covered 2 in a row. I don't really want to step in front of this Chiefs team, not just yet. I wanted to back the Steelers the other night against the Ravens. Coming off that Ravens game, it is always such a gauntlet there in the AFC North, whether teams are good or not that good. Right now, the Ravens are, well, I think one of the better teams in the AFC. I like them to win the Super Bowl. I have them at 10-1 in pocket. I'm not willing to say that the Steelers have a good spot to bounce back here. But if you are the type that likes to tease, I think they are an excellent teaser spot, and we'll find some more teams to go along with them here later on in the slate. Probably Vegas, possibly Tampa Bay. Keep an eye on a couple of those lines as well. One more, you could tease Green Bay against the Vikings. But the rest of Saturday, Baltimore, as I just mentioned, off a hard-fought victory over a divisional rival, now plays the Houston Texans. Has CJ Stroud just kind of started to see some regression? I think so. I think we've seen that time and time again with really good rookie quarterbacks. Their sophomore year, they start to struggle because, well, these defensive coordinators are really, really good at their job. So keep an eye on the injury list here for the Texans. I'm not ready to back Baltimore here on the road in Houston after that big win. I understand that they've covered 5 straight against Houston and won those outright. But this is kind of one of those really strange games where I would not be surprised to see it be a flat spot for them. If you want me to pick it, Clay, I will take the points with the Houston Texans, though. I'm not sure they can get the outright win. I do love whenever a home team is catching 5.5.
So there's 2 on Wednesday, Chiefs, Steelers, Ravens, Texans. That is Christmas Day Netflix games, if I'm not mistaken. Both those are Netflix. Thursday, Seahawks, Bears. I'm going to take the Seahawks, and then your beloved Broncos against the Bengals Saturday game. I'm taking the over, the way that Joe Burrow is playing. And those are the first 4 that I'm betting. That's all games on Wednesday, Thursday, or Saturday. Do you like any of these? What's your favorite for the upcoming weekend?
God, no. Who wants to even watch Seahawks Bears? Seahawks were this close to not getting the push on the cover because Geno Smith almost threw a pick 6. Like, luckily, the defender knew to go down. That Seahawks team was just frustrating. They had so many opportunities to beat the Vikings last week. And then you have, well, the Bears with an interim head coach, no offensive line. Caleb Williams is frustrated, rightfully so. I'm not saying it's all his offensive line's fault, but man, you got to give the guy some time. He's just getting clobbered. Denver, we saw last Thursday night, Clay, was a really interesting one. They had multiple opportunities to beat the Chargers. Luckily got the teaser for me late. I think Denver is starting to see just a touch of a regression. And the Bengals, on the other hand, are finally starting to click. Maybe that defense, just maybe, is starting to play a little bit better, or they just played DTR. And the Browns, I'm going to be cheering for New England this weekend, just like I was last weekend, even though they did not get the outright win. I need this team to win 2 more games. It's not going to happen, but it could against this Chargers team. This is one of those weird scheduling spots where this game does not matter to the Chargers coming off that Broncos win, going to New England. So somebody please cheer for me for the Patriots and the Rams. Don't look now, but here come the LA Rams out there in the NFC West. This is going to be an interesting one. Cardinals end up losing to the Panthers. That was my barking dog on bet on it this week. So I was happy to get the outright win from them. Cardinals really need to win. LA is in cruise control right now, but that does not mean they cannot throttle their divisional rival in the Cardinals, because that is what these teams love to do. Cardinals 3-12-1 in their last 16 versus the Rams. The Rams are past for me, Clay.
Titans, Jags, Kelly. It's one of the saddest games. The Titans are 4th overall picking. The Jags are 3. I would imagine every Titans and Jags fan wants their team to lose because The winner here drops back significantly. The loser advances to worst case scenario, third overall pick. I'm taking the under. I think it's going to be ugly. Neither team has a lot to play for. Packers, Vikings. I'm going to take the Vikings -1.5. The NFC North is an amazing race right now. And then that ties in with I'm going to take the Lions minus the points against the 49ers. Those are my 3 final picks of the OutKick 6-pack for NFL Week 17.
Yeah, I mentioned I'm going to take Green Bay in a teaser. I need Green Bay to win the NFC North, and it's not going to happen. I bet them at 2-1 to start the season. We'll see if they can't get at least a teaser cover here over Minnesota, who has just completely obliterated all expectations from August. I mean, after J.J. McCarthy got hurt, they announced Sam Darnold. Everybody wrote this team off. Congratulations to them being 13-2 here, headed into one of the final weeks of the NFL season. As far as that goes, Clay, that's kind of what we're trying to sift through is who cares, who doesn't care. Well, the reality is the fans don't want people to win because they want draft picks. The organization don't want teams to win because of the same reason. But these players still have incentives to play for. They may be auditioning for a starting spot the next season on that team or another. So keep in mind when kind of trying to sift through all of this, even Vegas, who was not supposed to beat the Jags, sure did yesterday. So keep an eye out, pay attention. Don't buy into the media narratives, just like every other thing we ever talk about here on OutKick. You just want to do your own research. Make sure that you're making educated picks. Look, San Francisco's already down to a 3.5-point underdog, and they look all but dead because they are. Yet, here's the Lions, 3.5-point road favorites. It looks like a trap to me, Clay.
What else? Anything else? This is the last show of the year. I'm about to sign out, and I'm about to chill for a few days and head to Mexico. Hopefully we can win some games. Are you staying in Florida for Christmas, the holiday season?
Yeah, I love that for you, Clay. I'll be going to Mexico in February for a wedding, and I hope you enjoy it. Save some margaritas for me. I'm going to be here in Florida hanging out with the family, trying to relax, rest up, and win a fantasy football championship.
Good luck there. Lots of money on the line. She's Kelly Stewart, a.k.a. Kelly in Vegas. I am Clay Travis. We love all of you. We'll be back January 2nd. Thanks for all the support for OutKick and both of us during the course of the year. It's been a fabulous one. And I hope all of you, friends, family, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you may be celebrating over the next week or so, we will be back in, 9 days? 10 days? 10 days with more OutKick shows January 2nd. With Clay and Buck as well. But until then, I am out. See you guys. Kelly, Merry Christmas. Have a good one.
Merry Christmas.